I am Aditya, and this is International Alumni Spotlight. Welcome to Epic Leadership Tales, where we deep dive into the experiences of millennials and Gen Z in leadership roles. Today, we will be exploring how those two generations approach leaderships, with a focus on the experiences at Taylor's University and beyond. But there's a saying in Indonesia, say that, tak kenal maka tak sayang. That's why I'm gonna start first. My name is Aditya Ahmad. I'm alumnus of Taylor's Business School, class of 2024, but at the same time, I'm also Indonesian chapter executive committee for the term 2024-2025. And after this, I'm gonna pass the floor to...
Thank you, Kelvin. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Yonathan Andre Baskoro, alumnus of Taylor's School of Law and Governance class of 2018. And now I'm working as a member of Parliament, House Representative, Denpasar Council, and I also the country chapter lead for Indonesia chapter.
Thank you, Dr. Yonathan. Hi, everyone. My name is Yodidharma, and I am the alumnus of Taylor's Business School 2024. And I am also part of the Indonesian chapter executive committee for term 2024-2025.
Yes. As you can see, we have two fresh graduates here and one professional on his field.
Not really, I'm still learning.
Boleh lah, yes, can, right?
Can.
That's why today he's here. We're going to discuss about how can our experiences on university, right, can be relevant and can be implemented to actually excel in the actual world through our leadership experiences there. Because that's why we're going to directly talk about our initial leadership experiences on university back then. Was there a time that our experiences shape our initial, the way we do leadership things now? And were there specific activities or roles that prepared us for the leadership in the actual real world that we do at our university?
So thanks, Calvin, for the question. So just so you guys know, me and Calvin, we've actually been pretty close friends since the start of the semester.
Yes.
So practically what I'm telling you is representing half of probably what Calvin has been through as well. And my time in Taylor's has been, I would say it's been nothing short of. It was pretty fun in a sense where, okay, let's talk about leadership. Taylor's has provided enough avenues for us as students to kind of, if we have the will, then we are provided the opportunity. As an illustration, me, myself, and Calvin, I'm sure, he'll probably explain it to you later. When we first joined uni, we were part of the Taylor's University Student Council. Different departments, no worries. But after that, we also went through, if you guys are aware, in every country, there is what is called an Indonesian Student Society. It's a place where students gather, basically. It's a place where students get to feel that sense of connectedness. So me and Calvin, I'll just tell about me first lah. I was pretty, lucky to have been given the opportunity to be the secretary of the Indonesian Student Society of Taylor's, which is Commando 45. And also, before that, I have been granted the opportunity to be the vice head of the entrepreneurship department in PPIM, or Persatuan Pelajar Indonesia Malaysia, which basically means the Indonesian Students Association of Malaysia. Yes, Dr. Yonathan?
Yeah, for me, I did a great time in Taylor's. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to be a president for postgraduate student council last time in Taylor's. And in my study, because I'm an organization person, so I learned a lot in Taylor's, like how to manage my time as an overseas student. We have to manage our life. We have to manage our money. Malaysia a bit expensive if you compare with Indonesia. But I think it's not a big problem because I feel lucky also when I study in Taylor's, because the campus, all the facilities are really up to date, really helpful. And the students in Taylor's coming from another country, from Malaysia, Indonesia, China, and everywhere. So I have a new networking when I'm studying in Taylor's.
means that basically like by being the international student itself, that it gives you the early exposures of having a personal management, where it allows you to have your own personal like problem solvings. You have to do everything
Yeah,
by
yeah.
yourselves
Yes,
in
true.
other people's country, understanding like their norms and
Yeah,
laws that
yeah,
happening
yeah.
there, right? I think that's a skill that would you agree if I say that it's a skill that is very important when you want to work in the professional field also?
Yeah, of course, because in Taylor's, I learned a lot about a new skill frame of work.
Okay.
You know, like how you solve the problem, how you to make a shortcut to solve the difficult time and everything. So yeah, thank you so much. I learned a lot from, as you said just now, from people from China, how the country, how Malaysia compared to Indonesia. So I knew a lot of things like, oh, business is in Malaysia is like this, business in China is like that, the law, because actually I'm a lawyer before now, so I can make a good understanding about comparison between Indonesian law and Malaysian law.
Understood. Yeah, as far as I know, also like the law that the Malaysians has, they implement from the British system, right?
Yeah,
Like
true.
at least maybe looking at from your, from your shoes, I would say that by studying overseas in Taylor's, actually you have comparisons when you are talk with them, like oh how the laws apply to them in their own country. So it's actually like very beneficial for you to
Yeah,
be a
yeah.
set of like oh at least this how they do it in other country that give them the benefit
Yeah,
for
yeah.
us to implement. I would say, yeah, being the for me personally, being an international student myself there has given me more towards language wise.
Yeah.
When I first come to Taylor's, I was not confident to speak in English like this actually. It's fully in Indonesians. But I would say confidently now that if someone talk to me in Mandarin, I'll be able to answer it. And for me, it's a very big achievement. But now that I just graduated, I would say that those experiences, those ability to understand other languages give me so much job opportunity just to apply. So I would say like when it comes to leadership, right? Three of us have a different key takeaways, but it's all might be useful just depending on how you utilize it, right? What do you think? What do you think like the most like key takeaway points that directly this what I've done in my university, but I'm doing it again in my real working experiences.
yeah.
What do you think? Is there anything that you think that you're doing constantly from university life to your working life?
Yeah, for me personally, my housemate, they are coming from China.
Oh, okay.
I learned about their culture, their language a bit, and now I've been trusted from my political party, yeah, to do some bilateral cooperation with China government. So it's really, really helpful. Yeah, something like that.
I understand.
Understood. Wow. Means that is there any specific challenges that you have been facing in the workplace, but you remember that maybe just now you said I have a housemate China I used to have. Is there any some of connection that you can easily ask to them like when you have something that you want?
Yeah, maybe like let's say for my job, yeah, as a lawyer, we have an international contract.
Okay.
I didn't learn about that in Indonesia, but I did learn it from tailors. How to make the flow, and the structure and everything. I learned it from the tailors.
Understood.
They taught me everything, you know. So when international cases come to my office, of course, I'm the person who responsibility for the contract, something like that.
So, Dr. Yonathan, you have something that I would say when it comes to being a fresh graduate at that time, you have something that probably more or other law graduates don't have when they graduate from Indonesian. Is it from Indonesia?
Yeah, especially in international business, because as Kelvin said, Malaysia using common law. In Indonesia, we use a civil law. It's totally different.
Means that how to say with us being like studying from tailors before, with those a lot of exposures of internationality, right? Obviously, adapting to them is some challenges, right?
Yes.
What is the biggest challenges when you were learning to adaptability that I believe is also implemented in our current work? We need to be adaptable to be succeed in working place, right?
Yeah.
What's your opinions about that?
In my opinion, in Indonesia, you know, we live each other with our neighbor and say A, B, C, D, E, yeah, a gossip and everything.
Correct.
But in another country, we are living in like individual situation. Yes. So when I came to tailors, I felt that feel. But again, tailors, they already know how to manage that problem. So thank God I was graduated from tailors.
Surprisingly, I mean, outside of, let's say, adaptability, being in, let's say, even in a uni abroad, I would say generally, but tailors thankfully have been able to solve it, is you get a start, you get a fresh start. Like what Dr. Yonathan said, in Indonesia, you live with your neighbors, you know what they're up to, they know what you're up to.
Yeah.
But in Malaysia, if you have the drive, if you have the will, in tailors, you are provided the avenue, you are given a new face, you are given a new start to create something. And I do think that that is one of the strongest point or strongest reasons why someone should, I believe, consider even studying abroad. Yes.
Understood. Now that just now, Dr. Jonathan just mentioned about moving out to Malaysia,
Yeah.
having a vast differences of lifestyle when
Yeah,
people
yeah.
tend to be more individualistic, right? Especially
Yes.
when we live in the city, very city area. Like even Indonesia, I feel that in a way also, like every single thing, like the smallest thing that I do, like in Indonesia, like everything is like being foreseen by everyone. Like the saying said that even tembok punya telinga, right?
Yeah,
It's very happening in Indonesia. Meanwhile, in individualistic world out there, everyone just focus on whatever they have to do on themselves, right? What do you think? How do you think those experiences of handling people with very high individualistic habit can help in the working world? And how do you think if you are the leader towards those people, right?
Okay.
How do you think those experiences that you got can be helpful? How do you think we can manage them
Yeah.
as a leader?
Very interesting question.
For me, just one thing. I learned them really, really hard worker. You know, sometimes in Indonesia, we just delay our job.
Yes.
We delay our work. But there, in Malaysia, they work like 8 hours, but full of work.
Yes.
So I learned a lot. Oh, this is how the way we got a success career. So that one thing I learned a lot, especially in sales. How about you?
Dr. Yonathan, myself, I haven't really went to the workplace.
I
Just for reference, I graduated a month ago. But I think in terms of probably like leading or just me, I also believe that when I came to Malaysia, I became highly individualistic as well. So what that means is you're more self-driven because you don't really have anyone there that will support you. You don't have a family to feed you. You don't have food downstairs waiting for you. But basically, I, like Dr. Yonathan also, I did know that in Malaysia, okay, in Indonesia, we have a habit of procrastination. Yes, we have a habit of procrastination. And what that means is, when you compare how Indonesians work, I'm not generalizing Indonesia.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. It's just that it is what I've been observing. When you compare how when you compare the Indonesian working culture and the Malaysian working culture, I would say when you try to lead an individualistic person, you have to focus more on the results. They have to focus more on the results. You have to be willing to provide a way where they can perform. You have to be willing to provide a way where they can show results and where they can be rewarded for it. So I do believe that, leading an individualistic person, me being myself, I would love to, let's say, perform. I would love to achieve something. So having, let's say, a leader who can provide that sense of like, oh, yoga, I think you're doing good. Yoga, I think you're doing what you're supposed to do, is definitely something that can be considered, especially as we, Generation Z, we are the Gen Zs. One thing that I think a lot of Gen Zs don't like is being micromanaged.
Yeah.
Dr. Yonathan, I know you are a millennial. It might be a bit different from you. You tell me later how. But it's like for us Gen Zs, we find it a bit frustrating when we get micromanaged. Yes. So essentially, we have to figure out, or as a leader, when they lead Gen Zs, they have to figure out a way on how we can create a space where they can show what they're capable of without being micromanaged. Yeah.
That's the thing. For me personally, like yes, what Yoga has said before, that I would say there's a big differences of expectations when it comes to work, right? As a Gen Z, like I would say it's a lot of the times we are trying so hard to have these kind of things like work-life balances, right? But I believe in the millennials, it's more towards like work-life excellence. In a sense where when you work, put all of it, regardless of the work of time, you have to finish your job excellently. And honestly, like I can see that most of like the Gen Z don't really prefer that working style, because how I would say it's get us to burn out very easily, especially in this current economy. Right? So what do you think? What's your thought about those kind of differences in working style between the Gen Z and the millennials? Where is the middle line where the older generations and the newer generation need to work first can go synergically to work together? What is the middle line?
Yeah, in my opinion, our problem for millennials, we work with technology a bit slow.
Oh, okay.
It's totally different with Gen Z. They work really proper with technology. So I think the middle line is we have to elaborate and collaboration together, because maybe for the mindset we can use the frame of work from millennials, but how to make it faster we use the capacity from Gen Z.
Understood. But here's the thing: if you're being a leader, like maybe you have been in a lot of cases, right? You have been in a lot of cases.
Definitely.
Like, what is the one trait that you think will be better, that could be improved when it comes to working with Gen Z? And maybe for yoga, maybe like, maybe you have internship before work, right?
Yes.
I have to. What do you think is better that can be improved when we're working with the older generation that can be improved?
Dr. Yonathan? Okay. So I don't speak on behalf of the Gen Zs. I'm so sorry. Calvin, please fill me up on that.
Yes.
But personally, for me, I do believe that a working world where that consists of both Gen Zs and millennials is a very optimal environment. Like what Dr. Yonathan said also, it's best to collaborate.
Yeah.
But for me, what I do believe is there should be always a middle line. The whole reason behind the disparity or the difference between how Gen Z see work and how millennials see work is because of how we think. It's our frame of mind. Gen Zs, for instance, okay, let's say me, I prefer, what do I prefer that Gen Zs prefer as well? Okay, let's say I do not like to be micromanaged, or let's say I am very, okay, millennials tend to probably be a bit more strengthened on one aspect that Gen Zs are not currently strengthened at, and that is in their emotional intelligence. We Gen Zs, we like to be, come on, say we're doing good and everything. That's Gen Z, and don't say it's not, because I mean we do like it. But yeah, we understand that millennials, Dr. Yonathan, or even other leaders, they may come from a background of being trained in a very strict manner, being trained in a very hard manner. So I believe that those differences come mostly from that. But a root problem that I think can be solved by not solved but can be improved in a working place between Gen Z and millennial is the ability to acknowledge, to have compassion towards your colleagues, towards, let's say, as a millennial leader, to understand that your subordinates are not, they're not trained in a way that you were when you were, let's say, here.
Maybe like I would like to say in a way where continuing like Yoga has said that we like to be like, you tell us what A, B, C, and D. I think it comes from how we are able to access so many things on the internet that we have this constant fear of failure. Right? We are very, very scared to make mistakes. And I think like let's say 30 years ago, when the older generations are doing mistake in the workplace, at least no comparison, right? Like, oh, this is the correct podcast of structure of a podcast. At least when we want to make something, that we have so much comparison.
Yes.
Hey, this one is better. This is better. So we have this constant fear of what if I've done wrong. So I think one thing that can be improved in a way of communications is that it's always the constant reassurance that I believe when we are just joining the workforce, it's okay that failure is okay. Just don't repeat it all the time. But what do you think? Like, is one tips or one culture that you think can be better for me and Yoga, maybe, or other audience out there for us to implement when we just start to get into the real world experiences?
Okay, one thing in this world, you have to be kind to everyone. That's the key. You're smart, you're rich, but you're doing not kind to other people, it's nothing.
Be nice to everyone.
Yeah.
It's amazing that how we initially discussed about everything, our experiences from tailors until like, I actually learned so many things, and I believe Yoga too, that how can we work synergistically like better with every generation that gonna happen, as long as we are nice to everyone, as long as we are improving ourselves, as long as we do everything with our own heart and passion. So maybe that's why here we're going to like set as the new Indonesian chapter lead to share the vision and missions of where this term is going to be in the future.
All right, thank you. I have one vision, tailors for all and all for tailors. And my mission first, to encourage and embrace all alumni so they can reunite again, because we have more than 3,000 students, alumni.
3,000.
Yeah. And secondly, to be a forum for alumni to exchange information and support each other in various matters. And thirdly, introducing tailors alumni who have global competitiveness and competencies. And fourthly, making the Indonesian Tailors Alumni Chapter as a role model for all chapters around the world. And last but not least, to promote Indonesia for all tailors alumni in the world, to help accelerate Indonesia's economic growth.
That sounds very great. That's why I encourage every single one of you to stay engaged with the Tailors alumni, and see you at the next episode of the International Alumni Spotlight. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.